Hello, this is Frank of the 12 Gates. In this video we're going to be looking at the miracles of Jesus, and what we're going to do, he did a number of them, didn't he? I think it must have been about 30, something like that. So what we're going to look at is not all 30 of them, but there's 6 which I think are very, very important. It's carrying on the theme of belief. I hit on this in the previous video, talking about there's levels of belief that's mentioned in the parable of the sower, isn't it? And also the narrow way as well. Few there be that find it. I made a connection between the two. That's the reason why the vast majority of people don't find this narrow way, because just read the parable of the sower, isn't it? Watch that video. But we look at 6 instances. We look at where Jesus cured the nobleman's son. Jesus cures the paralytic. The woman with an issue of blood cured by Jesus. You'll find out. Jesus opened the eyes of the 2 blind men. Jesus healed a woman of Canaan. And finally, there's another one where he heals a blind man. And I'm going to use that as an example. Again, why am I focusing on this belief? Why am I continuously hammering this home? You'll find there's something in common with these 6 quotes. Not all of them does he say at the end. There's a line he uses at the end. But when you get into the Bible, you will know I'm quite strong on this, and the Bible is as well. Bible repetition, isn't it? When you see something happen 1, 2, 3, 4, in this instance 6 times, the Bible's trying to tell you something, isn't it? So let's get into these. So the first one, let's read this. This is Jesus curing the nobleman's son. Yeah, let's read this. It's John 4:54. So Jesus came again into Canaan of Galilee, where he made the water wine, and there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus was come out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then said Jesus unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. The nobleman saith unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. Jesus saith unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way. And as he was now going down, his servants met him and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. Then inquired he of them the hour when he began to amend. And they said unto him, Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. So the father knew that it was at the same hour in which Jesus said unto him, Thy son liveth, and himself believed, and his whole house. This is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he was come out of Judea into Galilee. This is not the first time we've heard this, is it? And thy house. And it mentions here the whole house, doesn't it? But what is the theme here? The man believed the word that Jesus has spoken to him, yeah? And he believed, and it happens. And he's got proof that it happens instantly. Yeah. If we go into the next one, Jesus cures the paralytic, which is Matthew 9, 1-8. Let's have a read of this. And he entered into a ship and passed over and came into his own city. And behold, they brought to him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee. And behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man blasphemeth. And Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said, Wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? For whether it is easier to say, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and walk. But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. Then saith he to the sick of the palsy, Arise, take up thy bed, and go unto thine house. And he arose and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw it, they marvelled and glorified God, which had given such power unto men. But if we go back to the second verse, and behold, they brought to him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee. Yeah? Again, faith, belief. He could see that they had faith in him. Yeah, and that's it. Again, fairly instant. If we go into the next one, a woman with an issue of blood, Matthew 9:19 to 22. And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman which was dressed with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, If I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. Again, pretty instant. She had that condition for 12 years, and she was made whole. Well, she was cured from that hour. So about an hour it took. Again, pretty instant. Jesus opens the eyes of the two blind men, Matthew 9:27 to 30. And when Jesus departed thence, two blind men followed him, crying and saying, Thou Son of David, have mercy on us. And when he was come into the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus saith unto them, Believe ye that I am able to do this? They said unto him, Yea, Lord. Then touched he their eyes, saying, According to your faith be it unto you. And their eyes were opened, and Jesus straitly charged them, saying, See that no man know it. But like I said, the words he actually uses, Believe ye that I am able to do this? They said unto him, Yea, Lord. In other words, yes. And again, their eyes were opened. It was instant, yeah, because of their belief. Jesus healed a woman of Canaan. This is Matthew 15:22 to 28. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast, and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou Son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. And she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. Again, about an hour. Yeah, that's how long it took. 1 hour, and well, it says the very hour, so within the hour, instant again, isn't it? And then finally, here's an example. There's no mention of, saying you believe or you've got faith in this one, but this one is another blind man again. This is not instant, this one, yeah? This is Mark 8:22 to 25. And he cometh to Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man unto him, and besought him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes, and made him look up, and he was restored, and saw every man clearly. So, not instant there, is it? He had to do it a second time, but to be perfectly honest, you're probably talking a couple of minutes difference. Certainly within the hour. So what's my point with this video? That's 6 examples there, isn't it? It's about belief. And I hit on this in the previous video about the parable of the sower. There's levels of belief out there. There's the non-belief, there's the lukewarm belief, there is the lukewarm belief and they think they're saved, and then you've got the people that they believed, they got saved, they got the Spirit. 4 levels, I would say, and it's just the last lots, they're the ones that are on the narrow way, isn't it? And these people here, these 6 examples, every single one, they didn't just half believe. It's like, say you get called to the front of the church, and they say, I'm reading you the gospel, and do you believe? Oh, yeah, I believe, sort of. You are saved. And then you get baptized, isn't it? That's, it's a half a belief, isn't it? You have to believe with your heart, mind, and soul, this sort of level of belief. The belief, I would say, these people here, they're being cured of a physical illness, isn't it? A physical sickness. and he's curing them, because at the time he was alive, isn't it? At the beginning of the church, Jesus is resurrected, isn't he? He is resurrected, and it heralds the beginning of the church age. He's around, but in a different form, isn't he? He's not walking this earth in a physical form, is he? And I think this is my interpretation that, again, I said this, when you read the book of Acts, most of the people, the 3,000, everywhere you read, every single one, they all got saved pretty instantly. It takes a lifetime. Once we get on this journey, we get saved, is what we do with it. It will take a lifetime to become Christ-like. That's our ultimate goal, isn't it? But the actual saving is not a gradual process, it isn't. And that's what I'm saying here. If you look what he actually did when he was alive, everything was instant. But I can come up with stuff. In point of fact, if anybody can show me where there is an instant where Jesus healed somebody, and it says in the Bible it was a gradual process and he went back a year later and then they were healed, if you can put it in the comments below, I'll be up. But every single one was instant or within the hour. I haven't checked to see every single one, but I bet you it is. And that's what I'm saying. When you read the book of Acts, it's exactly the same thing, only this is a spiritual healing, isn't it? And it's done through him, instant. I'm standing by this. And that's why I've made this video. But I'm sure there'll be people out there that want to leave comments and say otherwise. That's what I firmly believe. It's in the scripture. The parable of the sower, the narrow way, the door that is mentioned, book of Acts, Paul, how he got saved. But that's my attitude on it. I think there is a commonality there between physical healing when he was alive and spiritual healing, which marks the beginning of the church age, isn't it? But in both cases, as it mentions in the book of Acts, is instant, the spiritual healing, isn't it? Getting saved, the physical healings within the hour. I challenge you to find anything where it's a gradual process, It says Jesus healed the blind man. I gave you that last example. He had to do it twice, didn't he? The first time he did it, it didn't quite work. And he said, what do you see? I see men walking as trees, whatever it is. It's a bit fuzzy, wasn't it? But he did it the second time. But we're talking minutes here, aren't we? Maybe 10 minutes gap. And that's it. That's the end of the video, really. Leave your comments below if you disagree with this. I know there'll be loads of people who disagree with what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is cast in stone, but you just got to look at the scripture, innit? The scripture just screams it out. Physical healings, instant. And in Acts, the spiritual healings, people getting saved, was instant. But I stand by the fact that it will take a lifetime to get to that point where you become Christ-like. Yeah, because we're in sinful flesh, isn't it? The Spirit is put inside us, but it's in sinful flesh. We're descended from Adam, isn't it? That's the thing. And finally, I want to add this. If getting saved is a gradual process, what happens? Say if somebody gets involved in a car accident and suddenly they believe to the extent that they get saved, but they've only got hours to live. They get saved at that moment in time, and then 2-3 hours later they die. What happens in that situation? Is it getting saved is a gradual process? Which, as far as I can see, is never mentioned in Acts. There's never people mentioned it was a gradual process. It's all instant. If it's a gradual process and it takes, say, 10, 20 years, or say even 5 years, that man has been cut off, he's only been saved a couple of hours, what happens in that situation? Leave your comments below, isn't it? Another one, say a man he's lived all his life and suddenly he's 75, been diagnosed with cancer, he's got 3 months to live. Yeah. He believes, he gets saved, gets the Spirit. What happens then? After the 3 months, he dies. Where does he go? Has it been long enough for the saving to do the gradual process? What happens in that situation, isn't it? And then finally, I'll leave a thought with you, the thief on the cross. There's a lot of debate about that one. I could do a separate video on it. What happened to him? He says you'll see him in paradise because he believed, didn't he? He believed that Jesus was the Son of God. And he said you'll see him in paradise. Read the verse. What happens there? You know, we don't know if that man was baptized. He believed. Maybe he was a believer before. I don't know. But what happens in that situation? If it's a gradual process, he hasn't got enough time, has he? All things to think about. But that's where I'd stand with it. I'll wrap this up now, to be perfectly honest. If you get saved, it's instant. Yeah. But it will take a lifetime to become Christ-like. That's my interpretation. And the scripture there, it backs it up, doesn't it? But anyway, this is Frank of the 12 Gates. Peace, love and joy, as I always say. Mixed with a bit of long-suffering. And keep your eyes firmly fixed on the Lord. And I shall catch you in the next video.